Across Ghana's historic breadbasket, a quiet crisis is taking root. As climate change punishes traditional crops with relentless drought, farmers are making a desperate and lucrative pivot to a single, hardy tree, the cashew. What began as a smart adaptation has erupted into an uncontrolled agricultural gold rush, converting vast swaths of fertile land into uniform cashew plantations. Now, a stark warning echoes from farmers' fields to the halls of power. This pursuit of a cash fortune is starving local food systems, threatening to swap short-term resilience for long-term farming. In this episode of Climate Evidence, Joy News' Anna Sabit explores the painful dilemma gripping the Bono East region, where the very crop promising survival may be risking the nation's food sovereignty.
It promises a fortune weathering the climate storm, but is it costing us the food on our tables? In the heart of Ghana's breadbasket, a golden crop is forcing a painful choice. In this particular piece, we investigate the cashew dilemma. I am Anna Sabit, and this uniform sea of green on your screens is the new face of farming in what was once our nation's food-producing heartland. The change is driven by a harsh, undeniable reality, punishing droughts and rains that no longer come on time. Faced with failing food crops, farmers are turning to this hardy survivor.
If you have a cashew farm, let's say the cashew season is certain, you become a big man. The cash flow, yes, is the money that gave me motivation to enter into the cashew farming.
The data confirms the crisis. Research here shows over 97% of farmers are aware of climate change, with a majority finding traditional staples like yam and maize increasingly vulnerable. Cashew isn't just a crop for many, it's become the only viable adaptation. I used to have cassava farm, then later I blended it with cashew, but today the cassava is not able to survive due to the state of the cashew. The cashew has also been helpful. It's what I used to take care of my kids' face. The story of these farmers is a dream driving the boom. Cashew now supports about 300,000 farming families. The national ambition is huge, to boost annual exports from nearly $400 million to over $660 million. But this rapid shift is creating a stark new reality on the ground, with food crop farmers the most affected.
In our place, but I told them where we used to farm, they have used a lot of the land for cashew plantation, so you can't get vast land to farm. It's small portion in that cashew farm. So you have to travel a long distance before you can get this land. That's why we travel. Almost 200 and something acres.
Someone abroad has purchased about 200 acres of land solely for cashew. How can we, the peasant farmers here who are into food crops, get the piece of land to farm tomatoes, yam and cassava for the people in Accra to also get food to eat? Ecologically, this mass monoculture is a time bomb. It reduces biodiversity, destroys pollinator habitats, and degrades soil health. Osman Young, the area officer with the Environmental Protection Agency, says the situation makes the land more vulnerable to climate impacts like pests and erosion.
Once we are destroying our biodiversity and converting those lands into cashew plantation, which is just monocrops, what that also means is that the benefits of carbon sequestration that we get from our biodiversity will reduce. So what I will urge going forward is cashew-based agroforestry.
This tension has risen to the highest levels of regional governance. Authorities here are now sounding the alarm. Regional Director of Agriculture, James Edu, has this to say.
If we plant all our land with three crops, what will we eat? Some even give example of what happened in western regions some time ago. All their lands were used for cocoa, and they were coming to Dembro Harbour to buy food to go back. So if you don't strategize and plan well, and a time will come, we will have food insecurity.
He says the way forward is to minimize the idea of expanding cashew farms to thinking about increasing yield per acre in order to help deal with food insecurity.
Instead of concentrating on land expansion, we should concentrate on yield per acre. So if we are able to increase yield per acre, you'll be able to get the yield we want.
Bono East Regional Minister Francis Osu-Antwi expressed deep concern with regards to the release of lands by Nananom to people interested in only commercial cash crop farming.
We have realized that Nananom in Bono East, they are my fathers. They issue lands in commercial quantities of which it has effect on the activities of our farmers. So we have already placed our request to Nananom that they should make sure they reduce the size that they give to people, else future generations will suffer.
The uncontrolled near total conversion of our arable lands into a single cash crop is a direct threat to our food sovereignty. Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture John Dumelo says there is the need to enforce a balanced land use policy.
Well, I think there should be a fine balance between cash crops and then, vegetables as well. And I think over the years, cash crops is trying to overtake it. But all these crops are very important to our economy. And so it's very important to have a fine balance.
President of the Bono East Regional House of Chiefs, Nana Osu Sechi III, had a caution to Nananom with regards to releasing vast ancestral land solely for cash crop farming.
We only say too much of everything.
Too much of everything, they say, is
so
that if we use all our lands for cashew, we won't have lands to plant yams, and cashew is not something we eat. So I'm pleading with Nananom to reserve some lands for food crops before we go to other countries to import the food we eat, and this will affect our local economy. Amidst the conflict, solutions are being cultivated. The answer isn't to abandon cashew, but to farm it intelligently. This model, integrating trees with food crops, builds resilience, protects the soil, and secures both income and nutrition. Experts call it climate-smart agriculture. It includes techniques like intercropping, using drought-tolerant food crop varieties, and dedicating specific zones for staples.
We can plant cashew and still plant our food crops alongside intercropping with to intercrop. That is why for me I always advocate for agroecology. In agroecology, this system can be achieved. We can still have a land, 10 acres of land with cashew, with our maize, with our cassava, condomine, everything on it. So for me, I think that this thing, if we want to look at it, we need to take agroecological principles. If not, a time will come, food is going to be a problem. And once you lose your food, you lost your identity.
The cashew boom has laid bare a fundamental dilemma for developing Ghana: how to thrive in a global economy without weakening the local foundations of survival. The message from farmers, chiefs, ministers, and environmentalists is unified. Unchecked monoculture is a recipe for crisis. The sustainable future lies in balance and landscapes that provide both cash crop and nourishment. This forms part of a collaborative project between Joy News, CDKN Ghana, and the Center for Climate Change and Sustainability at the University of Ghana, with funding from the Clear R41 Opportunities Fund. Anna Sabit, Joy News, Tichiman.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Clear R4I Opportunities Fund.